Go.
Hi, I'm Kevin Potts. I'm going to explain to you the Kamishibai audit process, also otherwise known as the Lean Leadership Audit Board. Okay, so the way this works is each week you come to the audit board and you find which role you're in. So for this example, I'm going to play the role of the plant manager. And for this example, it is October 20th, the week of. So this indicates that this week I have to do the S card audit. The next step I do is I come over to my audit card holder and I pull the S card. As you can see, it's pre-specified where the cards go so they don't get disorganized and I can find the card easy. So I take my card, and on the card you can see the area that I have to go audit. And all the pre-specifications or standards that the card is going to be audited to. So I take this card to the area and I get with the wastewater supervisor or team leader over there. And again, another concept of Lean is mutual trust and respect, as we are going to work together and we're going to audit wastewater together, leaders helping leaders. So we're going to do a walk together and we're going to go through all of these items and we're going to see if they are in compliance or not. Now, if there's any items on here during the audit that can be fixed during the audit time, together we will fix them together. If everything is good on here, that's great. That means we're sustaining our standards. And unfortunately, sometimes there's some red. Now let me show you what we do on tracking that. We come back to the board. So for example, if everything on the audit turned out good, I would come back to the audit board and place a green sticker near the S for that week, and I would put my initials on it. I would then put the card back in the holder. However, if let's say I was out there with the team leader or supervisor doing the audit and we found something on the card that we could fix during the audit, I come back to the board and I place a yellow sticker and I initial it and I put the card back. Now, if something on the card, if it was red, it was out of standard, I then come back to the board, I put a red sticker, I initial it, but in addition to that, I write a fix-it or trouble ticket. And let me show you over here what we do. So I would come back over here. As you can see, we have our trouble tickets labeled, and we even have our stickers labeled, and we even have our paper clips that we're going to attach the trouble ticket to the Kamishibai card. So what I would do is I would fill out the trouble ticket, the date of the audit, the card letter, the item number as it corresponds to the audit card, who I am, who the person is ultimately responsible for fixing it, any issues to be corrected via this card. So again, mutual trust and respect. I audit to the card. I don't make stuff up as I go. So I write in what's to be corrected, and then I take the original and I paper clip it to the card, and then I bring it back over here. Now, as you can see, the audit process is underway, and some areas have the trouble ticket attached to it. So let's take a look at what they wrote on this one. So somebody did an audit in the warehouse area on this particular date, so you can see how they filled it out. So you have the date, the card letter, just in case these things get lost, you can repair them. You can re-team it up. The item number, you have your numbers, who did the audit, who's responsible for fixing it, and exactly what needs to be done. Now, this person, Turpin or Pap, is responsible for putting the date corrected and who exactly corrected it, taking it off of this card and turning this card into the lean leader. Now, this is where the poke-yoke or the error proofing comes in, or the double check. So, let's say, and by the way, the intent is for these cards to be closed out before the next audit. And that's usually every week. That's how I set it up here. Now, you might want to consider doing it at a different interval, but the thing is when you have it weekly instead of like quarterly, the more you get into a routine, the less likely there's going to be a chance of us having troubles with environmental health and safety, quality, or even our lean management system. So I would recommend you do it on a very frequent basis, such as weekly. So now let's say next week I pull this card R, and I see these tags already attached to the card. Right there tells me that I'm probably going to an area where there's still some open items, because if it was fixed, there would be no paper on the card. So I immediately go to the area, I confirm one way or the other if these truly are still open, and if they're not, I get with the supervisor and I ask them what it is that I can do to help them turn green. Because if they have this, that means they've been red. Again, this isn't about auditing for auditing's sake. It's about actually going out there and making sure we're meeting our standards and helping to meet the standard. Not just to audit and say, oh, you're a bad boy because you got red. We want to help meet the standards and help people get to a green level. So sometimes, however, you can't help them. They need additional help. And that's really where the manager of the supervisor of the warehouse can also step in and help. Bottom line is we come over here, you can also see how a particular area is doing week over week. So for example, on this card R, if we were to come over here, this is a new sheet, but if we were to see red over red week after week, we know where our resources and our efforts need to be focused on. So, we ask, what is management doing around here to fix problems? Well, this will show what management is doing to fix problems in areas, because that is management's job, is to help people meet the standards. But we can also see, just by looking at a diagonal line, if an area is all green, all red, or a mixture of green, yellow, and red. Now, what if somebody doesn't do their audit? We also have the blue dot. The blue dot indicates that an audit wasn't done. That really is a red alert, because if an audit hasn't been done for the week, then we are potentially have safety, environmental, health, lean issues that are out of standard potentially and aren't known. And if they're not known, they're not addressed. So, if we see a blue dot, that indicates to either the area manager or the lean leader that we need to go look at that area. But really, if somebody's on vacation or is sick, and by, say, midweek Wednesday, somebody should pick up that card for that person who isn't here and complete the audit. I also want to tell you this too, if you're going to go on vacation, do not jump ahead in your audit. Do not audit ahead. Only do one audit a week. Now, I'm not saying you can do different cards. You can. But don't say do 2 audits in 1 week for one area. That's pencil whipping. So, I think I mentioned earlier, there's a poke yoke built into this chart also. So if you happen to be the type of person who may not believe in lean manufacturing principles, that'll be very apparent as people start doing their audits. For example, let's say I have an axe to grind. And so every time I do an audit, I find something wrong that cannot be fixed. And so therefore, if you look at my role, and every time I audit, I have a red dot, but the people who've audited this particular card a week before me and a week after me, let's say for example it's green, then it automatically is visually obvious that I have a chip on my shoulder of some sort. Also, in another way, let's say you're just a pencil whipper. You just want to just get it over with. So every week, your role, wherever card you audit, it's green, but the people who audit that card the week prior or after is a different color. So that shows that's a poke yoke, a visual poke yoke of this person. If all their audits are always green, then they're pencil whipping it. Then you have the yellow sticker. Every time I do an audit, it's always yellow. That means basically I went out there and I patted the supervisor on the back and said, don't you worry, I'm not going to make you red. I'm going to just go up there and put a yellow dot. So again, people who just basically, for whatever reason, aren't believers or don't want to follow the system, it'll be very obvious. So the way this board is laid out isn't by happenstance. There's a reason why it's laid out in this fashion. You can see visually diagonally which areas are doing good over a period of time, red, green, yellow, or blue. You can also see, which function is helping which area and who's doing their audit. Again, this isn't auditing for auditing's sake or auditing to beat people up. It is leaders helping leaders, mutual trust and respect, and teamwork, and sustaining our standards. What up? Okay, I want to talk to you about modifying this card. So, after a while, you'll notice a lot of green dots. When you start to see a pattern of all the areas with green dots, that means it's time to lower the water a little bit more and shoot for a more ideal state. We talk about this in our TPS workshops about, you have an abnormality of a standard and you have ideal state. So, we want to modify this card. It is on the Lean Leaders computer system. I think it's on the public drive, the shared drive. All you have to do is go in and add or remove items from this card and make the change. It's official through the ISO documentation standards. You make the change to the card, you reprint it out, you relaminate it. We remove the old card. We put a big black X on the back so it doesn't get back into circulation, but we also have another indicator of the card number, and we put that into rotation. But again, mutual trust and respect, no surprises. When the card is updated, the lean leader should always email a copy of the new card to the supervisor so they know that the standards have changed. As a matter of fact, I would say even before you make the card, get with the supervisors on both shifts of that area and talk to them about changes to this card. Now, we've been doing this here at Fort Smith for about 2 years, and I'll be quite honest with you. We've changed these cards a good 6 to 8 times, and every time we've made changes, it has either been at the request of the supervisors, the request of their managers, or even just looking to see, hey, they've improved on their card. I've gotten with the supervisor and said, hey, you're doing good on this now, but over here, we can use some improvement. Either way, communicate it, make the change, put it in, take it from I want to talk to you about the audit holidays. So as you can see running diagonally across this chart are some gray dots. Basically what that means is that is a break you get from not having to do an audit. But don't worry, just because an audit wasn't done doesn't mean that all areas got covered. The way the chart is laid out, all areas get covered every single week. But at least as you can see, every week somebody is getting a break. One thing that isn't on this chart that you might want to consider too, when we have plant shutdowns, what the lean leader usually will do will come out with a marker and just put audit holiday in the entire column of the week. Now, I want to talk to you about compliance with ISO. So as you can see here on the Kamishibai board, we have our ISO numbers, our date posted, and even the card set that we use with this particular poster. Even again, I'll reference the card. Even the card is at ISO standards. So we have our ISO number, date posted, the card set the poster goes with, because we do save these posters after we use them for when we go through our auditing process. So when we go through our ISO audits, either recertification or our annual, we will break this out and we will show the auditors how well we're doing. I'll be honest with you, when ISO comes through, they love this stuff. They really appreciate this. Now, if you want to implement this in your plant, all you have to do is email or call me. Both have a turnkey kit for you. In other words, we have a material list of things you'll need and do to make this implementable in your plant. For example, we can email you the Excel file of this poster, and you can modify it to your own plant. We also can email you copies of all the Kamishibai cards, and again, you can audit it or change it to fit your plant. We will give you the part number for the stickers. We will give you an Excel file for the trouble ticket, and the dimensions and the costs, and say like a Kinko's, and generally just the equipment for the storage of the items. So if you need help setting this up, getting the materials, and just getting it rolled out to your plant, just call in.